city itself, but close around. The lady that worked for us, her name was Maya. I often wonder what happened to her after the name fell and the rest of the country fell. A very, very, very nice lady. In 1987, when I first saw the Vietnam Wall Memorial in D.C., some of the names I knew. In '88, right here in Des Plaines, when the movie wall was set up at the parking garage downtown, I was sitting behind one of the tables and looking at names in the book, people that were walking on the street. I didn't last for long. There was a couple that walked up to me, and then a couple right next door, who both asking for the same man. And I had to turn the book over to someone else. I didn't last very long that day. I walked out, and some other Navy veterans were there, and we held each other for a while. Thankful that we came back with friends that one fella that I grew up with in Mundelein, his name is on the wall. He was killed in action. And another guy that I grew up with was wounded in action the same year I was there, in 1971. But the Bob Hope Show was fantastic. Those of you that had the pleasure of seeing Mr. Hope and the USO shows at Christmas time, you know what I'm talking about. But I got home. We got an early out, so I got home on January 6th, back to the United States. I didn't get back to Chicago until the 10th. And I saw the Bob Hope Show again on TV, the same one I had just seen a few weeks before live. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Greg. Does anybody would you like to say a word? We have a Marine coming up here, Mr. Cobus. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Gene Corris. I am a Marine and I'm also a Navy corpsman. I had the opportunity to be in two services at the same time. A lot of times we see images of Vietnam with people jumping out of helicopters, going through rice paddies, marching through the jungles. But there's another part of Vietnam that we never see, and that's the part of where I and a small band of brothers, of Marines that I served with, that we did to help the country. And we were a group called Combined Action Group. We are affectionately known as the Peace Corps with guns. And our job was to live in the village. I lived in the village of Vinh Phuc for 13 months. That village was my home. I did not have a rear barracks to go home. Everything I had was on my back. And our job was to protect the village from Viet Cong and North Vietnamese infiltrators, because these people will come in the middle of the night to kidnap the young girls and the young men and recruit them as Viet Cong members. So that was one of our jobs. But another job that was more important was working within the village. I came toward the end of Tet, and there was not one building in that village that was not destroyed or badly damaged. And the village had 4 buildings. That was their school. The school was leveled. There was one little room that all the children would go to in the morning to learn, and they were working in shifts. So there was only one room that was livable. With the help of the villagers and my fellow Marines and my officers in the rear, we were able to rebuild 4 schools. And that was my pride and joy. I was able to rebuild the 4 schools buildings for these children. So there was a lot of work that we did there. And another great job that I did as a medical corpsman is our fellow corpsmen from our fellow units, we would get together usually about every 2 weeks and we would set up in an area like this, and we would hold called a med camp. And we would have hundreds upon hundreds of Vietnamese men, women, children, babies seeking medical care, because there was none. There were no doctors. There was one midwife in my village, one. I was the closest thing to a doctor, and I did the best I could. I had the honor of delivering 2 babies. I hope these 2 children had successful lives. I hope and I pray they did. But that was another part that we don't see. We don't see the part where the American troops, along with the Vietnamese troops, I worked with the Vietnamese corpsmen, popular forces that protect the village. We worked hand in hand. And I think that's kind of taken away. We don't see that. We don't see the Vietnamese and Americans working side by side. But we did. And they were strong fighters. And they were good fighters. I was there for 13 months. These people were fighting the war for years before I got there, for years after I left. And many of the Vietnamese that I served with who went to re-education camps never came back. Last Saturday we had a Vietnamese gathering at our American Legion post. We must have had approximately about 75 Vietnamese civilians, former military. It was so great to bond with them. I listened to Vietnamese soldiers who were in re-education camps for 5 years and how they escaped Vietnam on boats and just went out into South China Sea, hoping somebody would pick them up. It was a moving experience for me. But to the citizens of Vietnamese descent who may be here, I just want to say, not only on my behalf, but the veterans who are here, it was an honor to serve your country. We did our best, and I was really moved to hear Scott with the evacuation and how many souls you were able to save. 9,000. God bless you, Scott, and the guys that were there. Thanks, Dale.
Thank you so much, Gene. It was wonderful. I'd like to take this opportunity. We do have a couple of other special guests that are part of the veterans community that have always done tremendous support work. We've got our 9th District Auxiliary President here, Mrs. Kathy Zito. Would you just wave or say hello, Kathy? Thank you for all you do. You know, I've been on record for a long time. These American Legion posts, these chapters that are run and so forth, everything that everybody comes on out here, I mean, these groups are just as important as any school or church. It's critical in the work that you do. Whether it, Kathy, I know firsthand that they'll do food drives, clothing drives, stand down thing. Then you got your pancake breakfast and all kinds of open houses and stuff. The actual, you know, the fabric that weaves, the thread that weaves the fabric together, and it's foundational to our well-being as a community, state, and nation. Likewise, we also have Mrs. Sue. Is Sue here? I thought I saw Sue. Maybe Sue here? No? Okay. Well, we're going to say hello to Sue. Anyway, our department auxiliary president, which is the department is the state of Illinois. She was here but had to leave. I thought I saw her. But thank you, Sue, and thank you, Kathy, for being here. I want to go ahead and acknowledge our vocalist, Gwendolyn Johnson. She's got family who are veterans, and she came out to, I've been teased a little bit because of my outfit, okay? I figured it's Black April, I figured I'd wear black, okay? But they said, well, you look like a priest. Well, I am a chaplain, I'm a minister, I am ordained, so I figured I'd get you all in church somehow. And so here we are. But anyway, about a year and a half ago, we had a phenomenal Veterans Day at a retirement community called Norwood Crossing, and that's a place where I do some ministry. And Gwendolyn came on out, and we just had a phenomenal time. And so she was available today to come out and sing for us. So we're going to hear from Gwendolyn in a little bit as well. But I would also like to ask, is there anyone that has anything that they would like to share pertaining to the war or after the peace or whatever?
Hey, Tim.
You have something, Alan?
I want to talk about something. I got a friend of mine.
Should have got you one before you sat down. This gentleman is Alan Van Bladel. He's a former president of Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 311. We've done a lot of community outreach work together over the years.
Story time. I'm one of 5 boys. 4 of us volunteered for the Navy. 3 of us went to Vietnam. We all came back fairly sane. My older brother, was Naval Special Warfare. He did 3 tours of Vietnam. In 2014, he and I went back to Vietnam. He was a little skeptical about going because of propaganda. It was worse than he thought. But when we were in South Vietnam with the tour group, we all wore Navy Vietnam veteran hats. And we got a lot of thank yous. So nearing the end of the tour, we went to Hanoi. And we visited Hanoi Hilton. Now, a few of you guys already heard this story, so bear with me. So we went up to the Hanoi Hilton, and after our tour across the street, there was a park, where you can go and reflect. And there was a group of Marines who were doing Vietnam battleground tours. Now that's got to take a bunch, So I'm walking up there and I'm standing there and I see this big old Marine standing about that far away from me, and he looks at me and he says, "Navy, huh?" And I look at him and I said, "Marine, huh?" So he starts walking towards me. He says, "When were you here?" And I said, 1969. You? He said, 1969. He said, "Where were you?" I said, "I was off of I Corps." He said, "I was in I Corps." And now he's about 6 feet away from me. He says, "What ship were you on?" I said, "Heavy cruiser USS St. Paul." By this time, he's right next to me. He throws his arms around me. He starts whispering in my ear, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." So I kind of stepped back and I said to him, "I got an idea what you're thanking me for, but can you talk about it?" He said, "I have never told a soul this, but I'll tell you." He said, 1969, we were set on a mission just off the DMZ. We were attacked, we were overrun, we were odds were 5-1. We had taken wounded, we had no dead yet. I called in for artillery. They said, we don't have anything close enough. He said, "Well, send in the fast movers." He said, "We can't, there's no room for them to turn around. We can't fly over the DMZ." The guy said, "Well, in an hour, send out a Jolly Green with 20 body bags, because that's all you're going to get out of here." He said, "Now, wait a minute. We got a heavy cruiser offshore, 2 miles offshore." He said, "A lot of good that's going to do us. We're 15 miles in." He said, "Give us your coordinates and get your heads down." He said within 5 minutes, it sounded like Mack trucks flying over his head. 15 minutes, they picked up their wounded and walked out. Now he's crying, I'm crying, but it's these guys that we as the Navy never know what we did. We had 9 8-inch barrels. We could shoot a 350-pound round from here to Willis Tower. If you wanted in one window, we put it in the next window. That's how accurate we were. So I just want to thank all you guys that were in country, that depended on the Navy and the Air Force and anybody else to save your bacon. But that's my story, and I'm sticking with it.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you. We have another Marine coming up, Richard Rajunik. He's the historian and chaplain for appointee, backup chaplain for the 9th District. Please welcome Richard.
Folks, I'm not a Vietnam veteran. I served many years after it, but I want to talk about my friend Van Bao. I worked at the post office. He worked with me at the post office. In 1977, he's actually the same age I am. He had 17. In 1977, he was a boat person. He escaped out of Vietnam aboard a boat, And it's an interesting story because he told me that his karate instructor in Saigon is the one who was setting up these people to get on the boat. You had to pay him to get on this boat to get out of there. But in 1977, he was on a boat with a bunch of other Vietnamese folks escaping, and he was picked up by an American freighter, and American Navy ship, and he was brought to Texas. An interesting part of it also is that his brother escaped several months later on another boat, but they were picked up by a Belgian freighter. And he told me that back then, the other countries were told, their ship captains were told, don't pick up any Vietnamese refugees or people escaping from Vietnam on these boats because we don't want to take them into Europe or our countries. So leave it for the Americans. Well, this Belgian freighter, the captain, picked up his brother's boat, the boat that his brother was on, and to this day, his brother is now a Belgian citizen. Van Bao is an American citizen. I thought that was very interesting. But yeah, Bao escaped in 77, Texas, came to Chicago, went to the post office. He has a great family. He's actually he's a Roman Catholic, and I found that interesting. But he had a death in the family, went to a wake, and I found the wake very interesting. It was a combination of Catholicism, you had a Catholic priest, and then a little bit of his culture, the Vietnamese culture, with certain colors and things. I found it very interesting. But I just want to tell a story about Van Bao. 1977, there's a lot more to that story. When he came to the post office, we also found out that we would call him Pham, and he said, no, that's my last name. In America, that would be his last name. Bao would be his first name. So we were all calling him Pham, and he said, no, my name's Bao. You call me Bao. So we learned that Van Bao, the last name, would be his first name. But there's a lot more to it, and I've seen several documentaries on YouTube, and the boat people, they went through hell on these boats. A lot of these boats were close to sinking. And I'm just proud to say that I'm a friend of Bao. He's an outstanding individual. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you so much. Anyone else would like to share for a moment? Brian? Brian Mulcrone is another former president of the Vietnam Veterans of America. It was Brian who appointed me the Vietnamese community liaison a long time ago, and Brian's got a few words.
Yeah. The remarks that we share, I think, are personal, and I hope for each of us it's something that we feel compelled to do. We need not to relive, we need not to forget. Before you leave today, on the panels behind us are the representative dead from this community going back to the Civil War. Among those names, over the last 100 years, you'll find street names in this town of businesses. And in the current era, when this memorial was built in the 1970s, the tablet that represented the Vietnam period only had about 20 names on it. Growing up in the adjacent community, but raising my family in the town, the first time I took note of that tablet was when I shared with children. On that tablet, I'm seeing names from my youth. Jimmy Donahue, who I went to high school with and sang in a glee club with, and went to scout camp with. And David Skibby, who I was with in ROTC at the University of Illinois. Their names and the others represent the ultimate sacrifice that comes back on certain days to haunt all of us who came home. But also to serve as a reminder that freedom isn't free unless you stand up for it. You stand up for it sometimes by taking an oath and taking a step forward, we're serving in a capacity which sometimes can be dangerous in public safety, or sometimes making a decision about what is right and how to be a good citizen. Their names should be the echoes we hear every time we cast a ballot or put a flag up or say a prayer. Freedom isn't free. And each and every one of us who are here today can always participate in freedom and all the activities that fall out of that because of these names.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Anyone else would like to share anything at all? I'll just say a couple of words. I happen to be on the USS Mobile, which is an amphibious assault vessel. USS Mobile is an LKA. Our number was 115, and so I was